The Sports Talk here on the Sports Talk Media Network. Welcome back after the weekend. Hope you had a great weekend. Beautiful day today. Felt like South Carolina, did it not? Feel like South Carolina out there to you? Hot and humid, just the way we like it. We welcome all you Yankees who have come down to the South, down to South Carolina, to our beaches, to Charleston, to the capital city, to the upstate, to spend money, eat our food, steal our women, but the heat and the humidity will drive you away. I have no doubt about that. You have to be born here. You have to be raised in this sort of heat and humidity to be able to appreciate it. Much like myself and Mr. Daniel and Mr. Bergen, right? All natives of the heat and humidity of South Carolina. I happen to love it. I'd rather sweat than shiver any day of the week. Anybody agree with me? Pat, I know you agree with me.
I 100% agree
Bergie
with
probably
you.
agrees with me, and he'll be agreeing with me here shortly once he joins us on the air. So, great weekend. I hope everybody had. We had the race wrap up today at Dover, and Chase Elliott, who's having a great season, leading the points, gets his first win of the campaign. It's really the first race of the year that did not have a real dramatic finish to it. We didn't have a lot of wrecking at the end. There were plenty of wrecks throughout and a lot of lead changes, but he ended up winning by a comfortable margin. It didn't come right down to the last couple of corners there to settle this one, like the first time all year we've had that. And so, Darlington, you are on the clock. Coming off the NFL draft, Darlington is on the clock. Looking forward to the racing week ahead at Darlington. They have got great plans at the track beginning the middle part of the week and all through the rest of the week. So many different activities for the race fans headed to Darlington. It's really going to be a great celebration of the sport of stock car racing, as it should be at Darlington, with this being the throwback weekend on Mother's Day weekend. Going to be a lot of fun. We'll be broadcasting live from Darlington Sports Talk on this Friday night. Chris and I will be there. So we're looking forward to that. So, Bergie, the heat and humidity question.
You could not be more wrong. It's impossible for you to be more wrong than that. I never have understood why meteorologists and people who live down here constantly talk about, man, I love the heat. It's so great. What is so great about walking outside after you've taken a shower and need another one as soon as you step through the door?
That to me is that's the feeling. That's the greasiness of a Southern man right there. Okay, that's what a Southern man is all about. That's right. You're exactly right. You take that nice shower and you step outside, and by the time you get to your car, you're wet all over again. I love that.
Yeah, you would. That makes zero sense.
Yeah,
that
makes
zero sense.
Especially when you forget to put your deodorant on. That just adds to the flavor.
And we'll get to see some of that this weekend over at Darlington.
Yes, we will. There'll be some people in that infield who won't shower for 4 days. I'm serious. They won't shower for 4 days. Anyway, did you get a chance to watch the end of the Dover race?
I did. I watched a good bit of the race. You were talking about no real wrecks and the like. Martin Truex might disagree with you in his dust-up with Ross Chastain at the tail end of that race. And I'm really curious. They never talked, at least on the Fox Sports 1 broadcast. I did not see Jamie Little go over and chat with him. She talked with Ross Chastain, and he quickly changed the subject. I'll be curious. And Darlington's a place where if you want some retribution, you can certainly get it. So I'm be fascinated to watch the battle between Chastain and Truex. Chastain, it appeared, tried to block Truex and ultimately ended up him in the wall. He wasn't going to win the race. So that may be the situation where it doesn't carry over. But that's the one thing that NASCAR needs is those feuds carrying over for a couple of weeks. And going into Darlington would be the perfect week to have some sort of feud going on. I'm just not sure we're going to get it from those two.
Yeah, that's what I meant when I meant wrecking. There was no wreck that really impeded the end of the race, created any kind of drama at the front of the pack, and I was right behind them. So I thought this was the first time all year where we went to the checkered flag and had little doubt who was going to be the winner. Yeah, maybe another race. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Was it Martinsville? Maybe somebody had a little bit of an edge, but for the most part, all of them have come right down to the wire where you didn't really know who was going to take the checkers. And Chase Elliott, who's, like I said, he leads the points. He's having a great year. This now gives every driver in the Hendrick camp a win. It's the earliest in NASCAR history, I guess, since they went to multi-car teams where every driver on a team has had at least one win within, 11 races now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, isn't that fascinating?
Yeah.
That shows you just how dominant Hendrick Motorsports has been. And if anybody has dialed in the brand new car, and it took a while for Chase Elliott to be able to do so, but they've certainly figured out this brand new car. And you get Chase Elliott a win, knowing how good he is on the road courses, and he hasn't been that great a plate track racer. But the one thing he has struggled with is the oval races. He had not won a race on a true oval in 43. You have to go back a year or so since the last time he won. But now that you get all four of those guys already into the playoffs and they can start tinkering further, I feel pretty confident even here early May that somebody in the Hendrick stable is going to make that Final Four, if not multiple drivers from that Hendrick stable in the Final Four.
All right, we got a lot of ground to cover from over the weekend. Wrap up of the NFL draft, the baseball season closing in to the end of the regular season for the colleges. What's going to happen with the state teams as far as postseason is concerned? It's funny between South Carolina and Clemson how they exchange the misery index from one weekend to the next. Last weekend, USC was swept at Auburn, and Clemson got a series victory over Florida State, a very nice series victory. This weekend, Clemson just gets hammered at Louisville, and the Gamecocks sweep Alabama. And so all of a sudden, the Gamecocks are kind of feeling like, okay, we got something here. They're fourth in their division. They're ninth overall record-wise in the SEC. So right now, they're safely in the SEC tournament. Clemson is 13th overall ACC record-wise after losing 3 to Louisville, in real danger of missing the ACC tournament for the first time in the program's history. Tigers have 9 league games left, 6 of which are against teams that are better than they are RPI-wise and record-wise. Georgia Tech would be one of those, and let's see, the other is they got Georgia Tech, they've got Boston College, and they have who's that last that other series against? Virginia. So, and they've got now the good thing for them is 6 of those games are at home. But it might come right down to that series with Boston College, which is the 14th team in the league. So they would be the 2 last place teams in the league. But Georgia Tech is, better than Clemson, and so is Virginia based on the records. And they got a midweek game next week on the 10th at College of Charleston, which is riding high right now. It is a tough, and then they've got Coastal Carolina on the road in a midweek game. It is it's a tough road ahead for Monty Lee and company to not. They can't even think about the NCAA tournament right now. They've got to worry about getting in the ACC tournament.
Well, let me pose this question to you, Phil, and I'd like to get our listeners in on this as well. If Clemson does not qualify for the ACC tournaments, do you think, even with their RPI and overall record, assuming they finish pretty strong and they've got a good opportunity with a couple of road tests in non-conference play, especially against the colleges you pointed out in Coastal in a couple of weeks, should they get an invite to the NCAA tournament?
I mean, not with the miserable ACC record they will have. I mean, they've only got 6 league wins right now. I mean,
I don't think anybody who can't qualify for their own conference tournament, and I've come to grips with it with regards to college football because the playoff field is so small and I don't like it, but I've come to grips with it where they allow non-conference champions to get in and play for a national championship. I've always thought it should be hard to win a national championship. And in Clemson baseball's case, they've got everything they need except in their own league. And if they can't qualify for the ACC tournament, I don't see how you can tell me with a straight face they deserve the opportunity to play for a national championship when they couldn't even qualify to play for their own league title.
This has happened before, though. I do remember SEC teams not making their own league tournament, and it might have been where they didn't take. I'd have to go back and look at the history. Maybe, right now the SEC only takes 12. They might have taken even fewer at one point, but some teams that didn't make it still made the NCAA tournament. but it was always because the SEC was the number one ranked league in the country, and the teams that didn't make their own tournament still had pretty good overall records. In this case, you're talking about Clemson. Actually, the Tigers RPI hardly budged from the weekend, despite being swept. In fact, I think they moved up one from 30 to 29 in the RPI. Go figure that out. But they're 6-14 in league play, 28-17 overall, an RPI of 29, which is ridiculously high for a team with only 6 league wins in the ACC. I mean, they could finish with fewer than 10 league wins, which that's not going to get you in the NCAA tournament. That's not going to get you in your own tournament probably. So right now, Clemson and Boston College are the bottom 2 teams in the ACC. BC's got 4 wins. Clemson has 6, and the Tigers are 2 games behind North Carolina and Duke. That's who they've got to catch. At least they've got 8 wins each, so they're 2 games behind those guys. So they just got to win. I don't know if they've got what it takes to win. But you know what? Last week in this time slot, I declared South Carolina DOA with its baseball season, and they bounced back to life in a big way this past weekend. I will now declare Clemson DOA with its baseball season, and we'll see if it has the same impact for the Tigers. They'll be at home this coming weekend, and we'll see if they're able to bounce back and get a sweep and get back in the right direction. But this will be a difficult situation for Monty Lee if they don't make the ACC tournament and thus don't make the NCAA tournament. That'll be 2 years in a row not making the NCAA tournament. That's going to make things pretty tough on him up there with the fans and maybe with his administration. I don't know what they're thinking right now, but I think everybody likes Monty Lee. Everybody thinks he's an excellent baseball coach. But it's just not working. Didn't work last year, and it's not working this year. I don't know what the problem is. I mean, I'm not close enough to it to be able to see for myself. Is their pitching just not good enough? Their defense yesterday was atrocious. They gave up 9 unearned runs, didn't they?
That's hard to do. And I'm actually starting to get concerned, and looking through the last couple of weeks, I've noticed Mac Anglin not pitching anywhere close to where they expect their Friday starter. Here's a guy who's, in terms of his control, has really, really started to struggle. He leads them in walks. He also leads them in wild pitches. He's thrown 7 wild pitches. He's also hit 7 batters, Phil, and he's got 38 walks. And gosh, how many innings has he worked this year? 38 walks in 54 innings. I mean, that's just not what you would expect from your Friday night starter. And I've noticed the last couple of weeks, he's really started to struggle on the mound. I'm wondering if something isn't wrong with him. And maybe, I know, gosh, not being there day in, day out, Monty knows his team a whole lot better than I ever would. But just looking at the numbers, I'm wondering if he doesn't need a rest for a weekend and then bring him back, and maybe that will right the ship a little bit.
All right, our phone number here on Sports Talk to take on any questions you have from over the weekend, be it USC, Clemson baseball, Coastal, or College of Charleston. Charleston remains pretty hot. Wofford, thank goodness, got a win yesterday. We really would have put the hex on the Terriers after having Coach on with us earlier in the week. Phone number 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number. John Kosas from the Fireflies, they had a bad week in Myrtle Beach. If it's possible to have a bad week in Myrtle Beach, the Fireflies did. He'll join us at 7:30 as we go around the horn with the Fireflies and around the Carolina League. Curtis Fry, before Ray Tanner won championships, before Don Staley won championships at South Carolina, Curtis Fry won a national championship with his women's track and field team. And over the weekend, his women were up at the Penn Relays, which is one of the most prestigious track events in the country every year. And their relay teams just dominated. They won 3 different events up there. And he's going to join us at 7:05. I thought it'd be nice to have him on with us and catch back up with Coach Fry, who's done such a fabulous job with South Carolina track and field in a sport that gets almost no attention. And I guess, they've improved things tremendously over there over the last 10 years in terms of the facilities and I guess the overall support. But it's definitely a behind-the-scenes niche sport around here in the college world. You go some places, track and field is huge. Arkansas, I can think of course, Oregon. It's huge out there, and there's hot spots for it all around the country. Maybe up in the Northeast, but and I guess in some parts of the Southeast. But his women's team in particular remains a very strong group, especially the sprinters. So we'll talk with him about that coming up at 7:05. And anything else you got, Pat? Anything on your mind from the weekend that need to blow off steam? Oh, two Clemson receivers in the news today. Justin Ross did get picked up, free agent deal with the Chiefs, and Nuke Hopkins suspended for 6 games of this coming season by the NFL for violating the substance abuse policy. So, and he put out a tweet about it saying something about not being vaccinated and how, he may have to rethink his future in the NFL, whatever that means. We will talk about all of that coming up. Phone number 888-898-2525. South Carolina Education Lottery. Lucky number here on Sports Talk. Lines are open. You can jump in and join us here very, very quickly. And since 2002, more than $160 million in lottery proceeds have been used to fund South Carolina Hope Scholarships for the state's college-bound students. Learn more about the South Carolina Education Lottery's impact at seeducationlottery.com/educationwins. Playing for fun is a win for education. Again, the number, 888-898-2525. Love to hear from you. Get your thoughts on things over the weekend. How much of the draft did you watch? How did your team do? Of course, I guess everybody feels like their team did pretty well here the Monday after the draft. I loved the Packers draft. Loved it.
Can we get into your boys being beaten in the first game of the playoffs by a guy who threw an alley-oop to himself?
Oh, that was beautiful, wasn't it? That was awe-inspiring. Yes, indeed. Be right back.
Parents ask, what's the best way to save for college? I'm State Treasurer Curtis Loftus, and my answer is always open a Future Scholar 529 college savings account. It's easy. You can get started online with any amount. It's flexible to adapt to your child's college dreams, and you can deduct 100% of your contributions from the South Carolina state tax return. So what are you waiting for? Go to futurescholar.com and see why it's the smart, easy way to save for college. Futurescholar.com.
The lady in black doesn't age. She just gets tougher. And NASCAR Throwback Weekend is when she likes to remind everyone just how they got here. Loud cars and louder colors, business up front and parties in the back. Over 70 years of history held together with one famous black stripe. Too tough to tame? I guess you'll have to find out. Darlington Throwback Weekend, May 6th through the 8th. Get your tickets at darlingtonraceway.com.
I'm attorney Jim Corbett. I love sports, and I've helped people for over 30 years. Contact me at jim@jimcorbettattorney.com when the insurance company won't pay your claim or you have complicated issues. Some other business causes your business to lose money, jim@jimcorbettattorney.com. When you lose a relative and find out you got cut out of a will or don't get what was promised. When you have serious injury, like from a wreck or mishap or on the job, jim@jimcorbettattorney.com.
All right, got a lot of notes for you, of course, coming off the weekend, as we always do here on Sports Talk. Let's run through our notebook brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union, where, of course, you can get a mortgage note still at a very low rate. Rates are starting to climb, but they keep them as low as they can for as long as they can. Last updates, mortgage notes as low as 3.587% at Founders Federal Credit Union all across the state, South Carolina. So just to recap, the draft, in case you were on another planet or you slept through the weekend, or maybe you went on a 3-day drinking junket and just didn't know what happened. South Carolina actually had the most players drafted from the state. That should surprise everybody.
I was shocked when I saw your tweet about that. I did not realize that was the case.
Well, I mean, it wasn't great undercover reporting work or anything. It was 3 over 2. It
Right.
wasn't hard to
No, I
figure.
get it. Yeah, sure.
JJ Inabare to the Packers, 36th round. I'm sorry, 36th pick of the fifth round. Running back Kevin Harris, fourth pick of round number 6, number 183 overall. And tight end Nick Muse, sixth pick of round 7, number 227 overall. And then free agents for the Gamecocks, Zaquandre White with the Dolphins, Jabari Ellis with the Giants, and Mike Uva just tweeted out that Carlin Splittell has informed him that he is signing with the Eagles. From a Clemson standpoint, it was cornerback Andrew Booth, Vikings, 10th pick, round 2, number 42 overall. Linebacker Balin Spector, Bills, 7th pick, round 7, number 231 overall. And that will be different next year. Both of these teams will have many more NFL prospects next year. Free agents for the Tigers, cornerback Mario Goodrich with the Eagles, who reportedly got a huge signing deal to sign with the Eagles as a free agent. Who needs to be drafted? I mean, he got something north of $200,000 from what I read. Safety Nolan Turner with the Bucks, linebacker James Skowski with the Colts, and receiver Justin Ross. This was the puzzling story of the draft, why he was passed over, why it took so long for a team to sign him. Has to be the fear of his neck, the fusion in his back, and, of course, he's coming off a ankle deal as well, or a foot injury as well. So all of that conspired against him, but he does get a shot with the Chiefs, and we'll see what he can do. And then Coastal Carolina, they had 2 players drafted. Tight end Isaiah Likely, 4th pick of the 4th round, number 139 overall. And defensive end Jeffrey Gunter, 31st pick of round 7, number 252 overall. He was down there darn close to being Mr. Irrelevant. If he'd have hung in there just a little longer. Free agents for Coastal, running back Shamari Jones, Bengals, linebacker Silas Kelly, Browns, receiver Javon Hiley, Bengals, running back Sherman. Why did I put him in here twice? Defensive tackle C.J. Brewer invited to the Jets minicamp. Receiver Cameron Brown, Buccaneers minicamp invite. Cornerback Derek Bush, Bears minicamp invite. Safety Alex Spillum, Packers minicamp invite. Sign him up. And linebacker Kendricks Gladney, Chargers minicamp invite. Then you had South Carolina State's corner, Jacoby Durant, 37th pick of round 4, number 142. That gives Lamar now 7 NFL players. He's from Lamar, and was originally a walk-on at South Carolina State and worked his way up, and nice job getting picked in the 4th round. So there you go. Those are the players that played in the state, as far as I could tell, as far as I could find, drafted or signing as a free agent. Pat, what do you have?
Well, just to add to that, how about former Tiger basketball player forward Naz Bohannon? He's received a rookie minicamp invite to try out for the Jaguars at the tight end position. We've seen quite a few players do that, make the jump from basketball into teams trying to push them into the tight end role in the NFL.
That's why Tebow didn't stick with them. It was a standpoint he was always a football player. He should have tried basketball and then transition over to a tight end.
Or maybe that just tells you more about the Jags. Maybe they think because Trevor Lawrence is from Clemson, there'll be a connection there.
He was all-state football in high school in Ohio.
Yeah. Well, you know that the great tight end for the Saints, and then they bounced around, Jimmy Graham. He was a basketball player.
Julius Thomas, too, who was with
Miami.
the Broncos for a long time.
Was
with
more
Peyton Manning.
Gonzalez,
was
if
basketball.
memory serves.
Yeah, he also played hoops. Yep.
Yep. But how about the Georgia Bulldogs having 15 players drafted over the weekend? Now that we know this, had they not won a national championship, how bad a job would Kirby Smart have done with that talent, not winning a title?
Absolutely. But what a job by Georgia, having all those players, all that talent. We'll be right back.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
And here's tonight's forecast. A very warm week, not just during the days, but not cooling down much at night either. Tonight, it's a low of 66. Tomorrow, more clouds than sunshine and a high of 89. Look for a 40% chance of some storms along the way. By Wednesday, we're up to 90 as a high with more sunshine coming. I'm Brian Leonard with your On Point local weather.
Attention pizza lovers. The Mellow Mushroom Pizza Bakers in Columbia and Lexington have officially been named
The best pizza places in the universe.
Maybe it's the out-of-this-world ambiance, or the universally appealing hand-tossed spring water dough pizza, fresh salads and hoagies, or maybe it's the cosmos of craft beer. Either way, Mellow Mushroom in the Vista and on Sunset in Lexington are officially
The best pizza places in the universe.
official best pizza in the universe designation from an official-looking guy who tried our pizza and said that.
Balance of Nature's fruits and vegetables in a capsule, changing the world one life at a time.
I'll tell you, I'm a tough case. I am 91 years old, and I'm amazed. That's why I'm doubling my order. I tried about 30 different supplements, and this is the most amazing product I have ever tried. I am very delighted with it. You may give me another 10 years on this earth. It's a miracle for me.
Get a wide variety of all your daily recommended servings of whole fruits and vegetables without having to leave your home. Right now, Balance of Nature is offering free shipping and 35% off on any new preferred order. Call 800-2468-751. That's 800-2468-751. Or by going to balanceofnature.com and make sure to receive this special radio offer by using discount code BALANCE.
If you're like me, you're sick and tired of seeing these old TV stars, game show hosts, these athletes telling you how to save money on your Medicare and on your health insurance. These national toll-free numbers are overwhelming us. It's not that people don't need the service. They need good local customer service, not big box toll-free numbers. See, I work directly with Tim Hanberry right here at Medicare Blueprint in the Midlands. When it comes to my family, I want the best family plan. I'm not even on Medicare, but my mom is. So here's what I do want. Someone local to serve as my advisor on the plans and choices that I have, and someone to help mom with her Medicare. I want someone to help me pick the right plan, save me as much money as possible by knowing all the rules of the game. Medicare Blueprint starts the process with you. They will see it through. They answer all your questions. They call you back. It's the same folks helping you start to finish. Tim and his team are independent. They fight for you, not the insurance company. Online, it's MedicareBlueprint.com or call them 708-7398.
Everyone knows that here at The Point, we are all about supporting local businesses. We are all about local, local, local. You cannot get more local than my friend Greg McCoy and his business, Simplified Mortgage Solutions. Fran Halloran here. If you're buying a home or you're looking to refinance your current home, you owe it to yourself to call Greg. He is the real deal. You can expect Greg to treat you like you are his only client. You can expect Greg to scour the market to find you the best rate available. You can expect Greg to charge you a fair price for his work and his service. Why would you deal with some national company headquartered in who knows where when you can do business with Greg? Need further persuasion? Okay, I didn't even mention the good Greg does in our community by supporting local charities like Blue Star Mothers and Camp Chemo. Come on, you need to call Greg. Online at simplifiedmortgagesc.com, or you can call Greg at 803-722-6044. That's 722-6044.
You know what? I get asked every now and then, Kev, when you say my guy, do you really have a my guy at Palmetto Exterminators? Well, I really do. Ron Byers is my guy. Do you realize I've been a customer of Palmetto Exterminators for 20 years this summer? That's over the course of 3 homes, longer than my kids have been around. I'm loyal to Palmetto Exterminators for several reasons. First, they do a phenomenal job with pest control for a very fair price. It's just not a concern around my home. They take care of everything from regular visits to termite inspection, mosquito care. This is a company that's been around for more than 60 years serving the Midlands. When they come around, they're clean, they're courteous, and they're on time. Look, it's not just me. When it comes to things like those pesky mosquitoes, Palmetto Exterminators voted best of Columbia in Columbia Metropolitan for their mosquito control. I could have told you that before anyone even voted. What else can you possibly need from your pest control company? If you're looking for someone to help you, look no further than my guy, Ron Byers, Palmetto Exterminators. Online, it's palmettoexterminators.net, or call them 254-5833, 254-5833.
All right, let's continue to catch you up on things and discuss things from over the weekend that are of major interest to us. Our phone number, 888-898-2525. You have a comment or a question for us here on Sports Talk tonight. Our new poll question, by the way, our new poll question of the week is talking about baseball. As we hit the home stretch, 3 weeks left in the season, what do you project as the postseason future for USC and Clemson? 58.3% project both will miss the NCAA tournament. This is 156 votes in this afternoon. 19.2% predict Clemson will be in and USC out. 13.5% predict USC in and Clemson out. 9% predict both out.
I love those people.
The both out?
No, they're both in.
Oh.
You want to talk about totally optimistic, but Phil, how do we ever get to this point in college baseball in our state? We're sitting here the first day of 2 of May talking about both South Carolina and Clemson legitimately missing the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, I know. It's disheartening for these two proud programs. And South Carolina baseball, of course, not too many years ago was the crown jewel of USC athletics.
A decade.
But
It's only been 10 years.
I'll give them some credit. I'll give Mark Kingston credit. They continue to battle, and now they've got 6 of their last 9 league games are on the road. They got to go to and they have not been good at all this year on the road.
2-10.
They got to go to A&M, and then they host Kentucky, and then they got to go to Florida. So they need to, of course, sweep Kentucky, which is not very good this year, not having a good year, and Florida's not having a Florida type year, but it is in Gainesville. You got to sweep Kentucky and win at least, if you can win a series, one of those other 2 series, that'd be great. But you just can't get swept by A&M and Florida. You can't go 0-6 and finish 3-6. That would really, that should still be enough at that point to get you into the SEC tournament, which is your first concern right now. The Gamecocks right now are 4th in the East, so if they finish 3-6. That would be 12-18. 12-18 probably would get them in because Ole Miss only has 7 wins, and Kentucky only has 7 wins, and Missouri only has 7 wins. So, we get you in the SEC tournament. You'd be playing probably in that first round, and if you lose, you'd be done. I would imagine at that point in time you'd be done. But they showed some life this weekend. They played really good defense. They had excellent pitching all weekend long. Maybe their poorest pitching performance was by Will Sanders in terms of the hits and the runs given up, but he managed to get them deep into the game on Saturday, and the bullpen finished up nicely for him. Becker came in twice and got the job done for him. So they have a nice little formula going right now. If people will just perform at the level they're being asked to perform at. And, of course, that's easier said than done. They still have to get some people healthy. I mean, Josiah Seitler is playing on a really bad ankle. He was limping out there very noticeably. I would imagine if they can, they give him the week off, and they play North Carolina A&T on Wednesday. You give him the week off if you can. Maybe you can't afford to because every game is so precious and you feel like you need his bat. But he needs to get that ankle healthy. So the Gamecocks are kind of, they're teetering. They have a chance right now. They don't mess it up. They're ahead of Florida. And the only team they trail of the last 3 would be A&M. A&M is 12-9, 7-3 in their last 10. Kentucky is 7-14 in the league, 3-7 in the last 10. And Florida is behind the Gamecocks in 5th in the East, 8-13, 4-6 in the last 10. The Gamecocks are 6-4 in their last 10. They've won 3 in a row. So you on paper, you give them a chance there to do some things and improve their situation. All right, a few other notes as we take a look at the Founders Federal Notebook here on this Monday night. Want to give you the latest RPIs for the in-state team since we're talking about the college baseball situation around the state. And it is still Wofford, despite what happened to the Terriers over the weekend, despite their struggles losing 2 of 3. They still pace the state with a 21 RPI. Clemson's at 29. Coastal's at 56. USC's at 65. Charleston moves up to 71. Upstate is 143. Presbyterian is 170. Citadel 234. Winthrop 241. Charleston Southern 267. Of all the teams in the state, Chris, the College of Charleston is the only one that leads its league. They are number one in the CAA. They have rebounded nicely this year. They are 16-2 in the league, 29-14 overall. Mentioned the RPI of 71. They've only played 5. See, what hurts them is their schedule. They've only played, they're 9-1 in their last 10, but they've only played 5 games against Q1 teams, and they've won one of those. So their league is not exactly, all that.
No.
All that. But they got a 5-game lead on Hofstra. So they're in great shape to win the regular season. Just can't go into their conference tournament and mess up and end up being on the outside. I imagine this is just I don't know, does this league get more than one team, the CAA?
I wouldn't think so.
Yeah.
I would think the college is their only hope. And you talk about Clemson sitting at 29. I'm guessing if I'm on the NCAA selection committee, they're going to be a fascinating discussion in the room, especially if they don't qualify for the ACC tournament. If they get into the ACC tournament, then they take away any concerns because I think they'll get an at-large bid because of their RPI and overall record.
Mm-hmm.
But, boy, if they miss the ACC tournament and they're sitting there, let's say, with a 33, 34 RPI, what do you do with them?
That will be tough.
I don't think they should go, but the committee may think otherwise. And I think Clemson will get a long discussion coming up on selection time for the NCAA tournament.
Dawn Staley, along with the 96 U.S. Olympic women's basketball team, among the finalists for induction into the U.S. Olympic Hall of Fame 22 class. Staley nominated both as an individual Olympian along with being a member of the 96 team on the ballots. I think that's pretty much a no-brainer, Limited number of tickets remain for the South Carolina Athletic Hall of Fame's induction banquet honoring the classes of 2020 and 2022. Ceremony set for May 23rd, Columbia Metropolitan Convention Center. You can get tickets online, SCAHOF.com/purchase. SCAHOF.com/purchase, which reminds me to mention again what a great time we had Friday at the South Carolina Football Hall of Fame induction ceremonies. That was a lot of fun. So a lot of great people enjoyed being up there, and hope you got a chance to go. And if not, make plans to get up there next year. It's a whale of a good time. Let's see, what else do we have here? USC's Noah Hall is the SEC co-pitcher of the week. He allowed 3 hits, struck out 8 in 7 scoreless innings, and a 2-1 win over Alabama Friday night. He has really come on. He's been much more, Chris, than they expected. They thought he was going to be a bullpen guy. They were forced to move him into the rotation. He has a 3.09 ERA and a 2.31 opponent's batting average in SEC play.
And deserved a better fate on Friday. He pitched well enough to win that ball game and got taken out after 7 innings. And, of course, Carolina gives up the run in the 8th to tie it. And then they win it in the 9th inning to tie it. And then they win it in the bottom of the 9th. But he's pitched terrific the last several ball games. Just hasn't – the win-loss record probably hasn't been where he'd like it to. But he's starting to round into maybe their best pitcher of their weekend rotation right now.
Max Wagner's the ACC Player of the Week for the second week in a row. The Clemson third baseman, 13 for 20. That's a 650 batting average. 4 homers, 2 doubles, 14 ribbies, 11 runs, 1.350 slugging percentage, 4 walks, and a .708 on base percentage in 5 games. That's getting her done at the plate. Let's see. We told you about that. Here's a mind-blowing stat. It says here from our buddy Rudy Jones, covers college baseball. Florence Darlington Tech baseball star Braden Davidson, and they're having another great year. The team at Flodar. Braden Davidson has 10 homers and 41 RBIs in his last 15 games. Imagine that. 10 homers, 41 RBIs, last 15 games. Andrew Eister, he uses this as comparison. Andrew Eister at USC has 8 homers and 42 RBIs in 40 games. So Braden Davidson getting it done there with the Florence Darlington Tech team. This was an interesting story that I saw today, and I retweeted it. Of course, it has to do with NIL. And, by the way, the Falcons released former Gamecock running back Mike Davis today. So Clemson is in the running for that transfer from South Dakota State, Baylor Shireman, 6'6". He's down to Clemson, Arkansas. We'll go into this in recruiting. Clemson, Arkansas, Creighton, Duke, and Nebraska. Kentucky had been on his previous list. And so a reporter from the Kentucky Sports Network, Jack Pilgrim, he tweeted that Kentucky cut ties with Shireman when it was clear the NIL demands were made. And just not a road UK will go down, he wrote. And so I took that and just retweeted it. I'm like, wait a minute. You mean Clemson is willing to go down this NIL road that Kentucky is not willing to go down? That makes no sense to me, Chris. And it goes back to the whole NIL and recruiting, and NIL now being used for leverage, and NIL now being used for recruiting purposes. Totally. I mean, almost totally with the biggest names now, the biggest, most heavily recruited players, NIL is the number one factor. And it just, to me, it seemed kind of a strange turn of events is how I put this, that Kentucky is out of the bidding. That's what it is, right? Wouldn't you call it bidding?
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
Kentucky is out of the bidding for this kid, and Clemson remains in the bidding. Who's making the bidding for Clemson, and how much is Clemson putting up to try to get this guy, if it is correct that he's being driven by NFL desire?
And I had to chuckle that Kentucky, coached by John Calipari, who may have been the one that pushed this to the limit that we have gotten to, and especially on the transfer portal side, taking the one and dones, and may have ruined college basketball because of the way he recruited. Now they're going to – this is where they're going to draw the line in the sand. No, we'll take one and doners that we can put in the NBA and keep reshuffling our roster every year. But, oh, goodness, we're not going to pay NIL demands.
That's just weird. That is just weird. With that being said, let's hit the break, and we'll come back and give you the recruiting report for tonight. We got a lot to review from over the weekend, and we hit the month of May. Of course, coaches are out now. Spring football practices are cranking up all over the Southeast and other parts of the country. So coaches are getting out to watch these guys in action now, and they'll see if they've made a mistake or not with some of the early commitments they've taken and some of the offers they've handed out. All of a sudden, some of these coaches will become scarce in your life if they see you and you're not any good. Back in a moment.
Hey Fireflies fans, the boys are back in town. Get ready for nonstop Fireflies baseball action this Tuesday through Sunday at Sager Park. Catch a Miller Lite $2 Tuesday, White Claw Wednesday, Budweiser Thursday, Freebie Friday, Saturday night postgame fireworks show, or a Sunday fun day with postgame kids run the bases. There's something fun for everyone at the ballpark. Get your tickets now at firefliestickets.com. Columbia Fireflies baseball is fun for all.
I'm not like some whoop-de-doo executive chef. You know, I consider myself more of a baker than a chef. I like working with my hands. I like turning regular ingredients into like something spectacular.
The South Carolina Education Lottery has funded over 450,000 life scholarships in our state, giving countless students a chance to answer their calling, just like Aaron. Your passion is our purpose.
Founders Federal Credit Union knows your life is busy and your money is important. We are proud to offer local personalized services and convenient online services like Founders Online and the Founders app. You'll love being with us as much as we love serving you. Visit relaxjoinfounders.com or one of our 37 convenient locations to see if you qualify for membership with Founders. Relax, win with Founders. Terms and conditions apply. Founders Federal Credit Union is federally insured by NCUA.
It's time for the recruiting report here on Sports Talk. On this Monday night, brought to you by the good folks over at Seawells. Another great week for the Seawells Daily Luncheon Buffet. every day, 11 till 2. Absolutely delicious, jam-packed with great meats and vegetables and beverages and desserts. Whatever your heart desires, they'll have it for you at Seawell's, the daily luncheon buffet. Do we have a menu?
We do. And Corn, you will love this. We are getting, for the second week in a row, a double dose of roast beef. That'll be tomorrow, May the 3rd, sliced roast beef in mushroom gravy.
I'm there.
Pulled pork with barbecue sauces and Italian sausages with peppers and onions. Quite a spread tomorrow. And then they'll also be doubling down on Thursday, bringing back the beef again. But for tomorrow, you'll have those 3 veggies along with salad bar, fixins, and dessert.
Do we want to call Thursday Bring Back the Beef Thursday?
I like it. Bring back the beef Thursday.
Bring back the beef Thursday, roast beef Friday, but now they're jumping on it on Tuesday. All right, and of course, the very best in the catering business, Seawell's. Those are the folks to call. 803-771-7385, SeawellsCateringSC.com for menu options. Lots and lots in recruiting. Offensive tackle Marquis Anderson of Dorman named his final 4 over the weekend: Clemson, USC, North Carolina, and LSU. So he dropped Auburn, Washington, West Virginia, Arkansas, Virginia Tech, and Florida State from his list. He's been to USC, Clemson, and North Carolina this spring, and he's been to USC multiple times. In fact, USC was his first official offer, and he'll be lining up his official visits with those schools. Defensive tackle Connor Knight, 6'3", 275, Trussville, Alabama, and he named his 11 schools. USC was on that list. He spent 3 days at USC leading up to the spring game, being heavily courted by Jimmy Lindsay and area recruiter Jody Wright, and he's hit it off with both coaches. He really likes Jody Wright. In fact, he said that they played Madden together when he was down there, and he said they blew him out and had a lot of fun. He really likes him, and he likes the way Lindsay runs his defensive unit and the way he coaches his guys, so he sees some positive things there. And they like him because he's real strong. He has violent hands. You have violent hands, Chris?
I do not have violent hands. I hope not.
Yeah. He has violent hands. He thinks he's one of the most underrated run stoppers in the nation. Other programs on the short list: Kentucky, Arkansas, Maryland, Jackson State, FAMU, Miami, USF, Missouri, Florida State, and Western Kentucky. He's also visited Kentucky, Western Kentucky, Miami, and he plans to take officials to Maryland, Missouri, and Houston in June. USC might get an official. With him, that's not a deal breaker because he had those 3 days before, and he doesn't feel like he necessarily has to have an official visit to USC. Plus, it's not that far away, and he can get to Columbia pretty easily. He suffered an MCL injury in the opening drive of the first game of last season. He returned for the final 3 games, finished the year with 25 tackles and 3 sacks. Wide receiver Kyle Vaca, 6 feet, 175, in the 2024 class, Alpharetta, Georgia. He was at Clemson for the spring game and really enjoyed what he saw there. Visiting with the Clemson coaches, visiting with Jeff Davis, checking out the Paul journey. Really enjoyed the things that he was able to watch there with the Tigers. Took in the Tiger Walk, despite the fact it was a really cold day there, and he was impressed by the turnout of Tiger fans and how they were supporting the team. He said Tyler Grisham is making him feel wanted. They haven't offered yet, but they are showing a good bit of interest, and he's building a relationship with Grisham. He also has been to USC and to Georgia Tech and Vanderbilt, and he's looking forward to taking more visits. Plans to be back at Clemson for a camp, Vanderbilt, Furman, and he said probably South Carolina as well. He knows the summer will be big for him in trying to earn scholarships. Clemson's in the top 10 with offensive tackle Ian Reed, 6'5", 310, Austin, Texas. The others are Texas, Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, Ohio State, Michigan, Wisconsin, Oklahoma State, and Texas A&M. He made an unofficial visit to Clemson for the spring game. He has set an official visit with the Tigers for June 3rd. Previously, he had Clemson, Texas, and Ohio State as his top 3. USC's in the Final 4 with wide receiver Jaden Greathouse, 6'2", 206, Austin, Texas. The others are Notre Dame, Texas, and Oklahoma. Last season, his quarterback was a guy named Cade Klubnik. Heard of him? Yeah.
Yeah.
He caught 66 passes, 1,274 yards, 20 touchdowns. In his career, he has 182 catches, 3,134 yards, and 43 touchdowns. He made a spring visit to USC and recently visited Notre Dame. Clemson target, linebacker Tony Rojas has set officials with the Tigers for the first weekend in June. Miami, June 9th, Penn State, June 17th, Georgia, June 24th. He saw all of them in April. Clemson target running back Justin Haynes has set officials to Georgia, June 3, Southern Cal, June 10, Alabama, June 17, Ohio State, June 24. I don't get the feeling Clemson is really in it with him very well anymore. Just from what I've read, it does not look like he's looking at Clemson for any kind of a visit down the road. Defensive end Desmond Umeozulu of Upper Marlboro, Maryland, was at USC today. He's going to visit Clemson tomorrow. He's had those two in his top 9, along with Ohio State, North Carolina, Pitt, Penn State, Georgia, Texas, and Maryland. Safety Cameron Upshaw has set his official to USC for June 10th. 2024 linebacker Devin Smith of Brunswick, Georgia, plans an unofficial to USC for June 5th. He is also scheduled to visit Alabama, Georgia Tech, Auburn, Florida, and UCF in June. USC offered offensive tackle Laith Ganem, 6'5", 280, Charleston, West Virginia, and offensive tackle Jatavius Shivers, 6'7", 270, Villarica, Georgia. Northwestern offensive tackle Jordan Knox has set May 15th for his commitment announcement. Tight end Carter Johnson of Butler Junior College, Kansas, committed to Coastal Carolina. Started his career at TCU as an offensive lineman. We mentioned the Baylor Shireman thing. I guess that's enough on him. The 5, Clemson's in the 5, and has a shot at him, I guess, at this point, if they're going to pay up. USC women offered 5'9" Talia Walker, Oney, Maryland. Over the weekend, Wofford transfer guard Max Klesmet committed to Wisconsin, which is his hometown, his home state school. Yeah, he went up for an official visit, and that was that. One-time Clemson commitment Jalen Llewellyn committed to Michigan over the weekend. I say one time. Is it fair to call him a one day?
Yes.
One-day Clemson commitment. That's all it was. It was one day, right? Pretty much.
It wasn't longer than that. It was crazy stuff. But, I think calling him a one-time Clemson commit is fair.
And former USC women's guard Anaya Russell on Twitter tonight announces she's transferring to Kentucky. Yeah. So there you go. Big pickup. She was a big-time player coming out of high school, But so far, I mean, her brief time at South Carolina, she averaged about 7 minutes a game. Just that there no room. I mean, no room. Even if you were, this standout player coming out of high school on that USC team. Now, if you had bided your time and hung in there might be some more playing time for you moving ahead. But then again, maybe not with the group they have coming in.
The problem is everybody on that team was a standout high school player. I mean, when your entire roster is made up of McDonald's All-Americans, somebody's going to be left out. You only play 5 at a time.
Is that right? When did they change that rule? Because the way the Milwaukee Bucks beat the Celtics yesterday, it looked like they had 7 on the court.
They only needed 1.
Well, I'll tell you what.
Giannis.
If you're allowed to take 3 steps to the basket and lower your shoulder and use your full brutal force to knock away any defender in your way, you're going to be able to do some pretty strong things around the basket.
You are not bleeding with officials to call traveling in the NBA, are you?
When did they decide that the Euro step was really a part of basketball? I mean, who made that decision? Was that Mr. Stern back in the day, when he was around? Or, I mean, it's walking. It's a clear travel, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a clear violation of the rules. They just let it go. All right, top of the hour break. Curtis Fry coming up. Be right back.
By the way, before we do what's supposed to happen here, thank you for pushing the button. I thank you. Programming thanks you. America thanks you.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, and fireplaces. Spring Sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters reporting. The Supreme Court rules unanimously that Boston discriminated in a Christian flag case. Correspondent Walter Ratliff reports.
The U.S. Supreme Court ruled unanimously that Boston violated the free speech rights of a conservative activist when it refused his request to fly a Christian flag on a flagpole outside City Hall. Justice Stephen Breyer wrote for the court that the city discriminated against the activist because of his religious viewpoint. The city had approved 284 consecutive applications to fly flags before it rejected the activist's request because it was a Christian flag. The city has said that if it lost the Supreme Court case, it would probably change its policy to take more control of what flags fly. I'm Walter Ratliff.
A long-awaited evacuation of civilians from a besieged steel plant in the Ukrainian city of Mariupol was underway. Pentagon Press Secretary John Kirby says some people have been evacuated from Mariupol.
There has been some evacuations of some civilians. We obviously urge the Russians to continue to work with the Red Cross and the Ukrainian government to allow those who want to leave, and to do it safely without harassment.
Video posted online by Ukrainian forces showed elderly women and mothers with small children bundled in winter clothing being helped as they climbed a steep pile of debris from the Smalling Astovol steel plant's rubble and eventually boarded a bus. A federal judge in Kentucky has extended a temporary ban on the enforcement of a new state abortion law. U.S. District Judge Rebecca Grady Jenkins is giving the clinics more time to explain their objections to the law. Jennings extended a temporary restraining order until May 19th. On Wall Street, the Dow up by 84 points. The Nasdaq rose 201. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Tell me why Relief Factor is so successful in lowering or eliminating pain. I'm often asked that question. Pete and Seth Talbot, the father and son founders of Relief Factor, tell me they believe our bodies were designed to heal. The doctors who formulated Relief Factor selected the 4 best ingredients, 100% drug-free ingredients that each help your body deal with inflammation. Order the 3-week quick start now. Discount it to only $19.95 to see if it will work for you too. Call 800-500-8384. ReliefFactor.com.
And now a small business setback, set to smooth jazz.
It's late. You're driving in the rain with only one thing on your mind. The deer about to total your HVAC van. But with Progressive's 30-plus customizable coverage options, you're covered. The rest is just saxophone.
When running your small business gets rough, Progressive Commercial is there to smooth it out. Get a quote in as little as 6 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com.
Twinkly sounds.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Coverage and discounts not available for all vehicles or states. Policy terms and conditions apply.
Radical Kathy Bodine, who served 22 years in prison, has died.
Boudin became a political radical in the 1960s, joining the Weather Underground, an anti-Vietnam War movement known for bombings and violent protests. In 1981, she was in the passenger seat of a U-Haul carrying armed members of the Black Liberation Army from a Brinks armored truck robbery near Nyack, New York, in which guard Peter Page was killed. When the truck was pulled over, 2 police officers were gunned down. Boudin pled guilty, apologized in court, and served 22 years. She got a master's degree in prison and developed inmate programs on parenting and AIDS. But many victims' family members and advocates were unhappy when she was released in 2003. She went on to co-found the Center for Justice at Columbia University and taught at the School of Social Work. Her son, Chesa Boudin, San Francisco's district attorney, said his mother died after a 7-year battle with cancer at age 78. I'm Jennifer King.
News and analysis at townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters reporting.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
And here's tonight's forecast, a very warm week, not just during the days, but not cooling down much at night either. Tonight, it's a low of 66. Tomorrow, more clouds than sunshine and a high of 89. Look for a 40% chance of some storms along the way. By Wednesday, we're up to 90 as a high with more sunshine coming. I'm Brian Leonard with your On Point local weather. WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, and fireplaces. Spring Sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
Please press button now. No, number 1.
Welcome back to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. You can reach the guys with the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number, 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now back to Phil, Chris, and Pat with the second hour of Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network.
Back we are here on Sports Talk. Good to have you with us on this Monday night. Phil Kornblut, Chris Bergen, and Pat Daniel. As I said earlier in the program, before there were national championships at USC in baseball and women's basketball, there was a national championship in women's track. And the man who directed the Gamecocks then is still directing them today. Been a little while since we visited with him, but after reading what his women sprinters did up at the Penn relays over the weekend, I was just impressed. And maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. As we welcome Curtis Fry back to Sports Talk. Coach, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing great, Phil. I'm fired up, man.
Well, you should be. You should be. Am I crazy, or is what your girls did up at the Penn relays, sweeping all three relay events? That's pretty special, isn't it?
It's only been done probably 3 times. That's a 126-year-old event there, Penn relay. So, hey, we're thrilled. We never expected it. We just got a group of little believers, freshmen and sophomores. They're excited.
Well, let me tell everybody that you won the 4x100 meters, you won the 4x200 meters, and you won the 4x400 meters. And you had girls like Stephanie Davis, Mackenzie Dunmore, Angel Frank, Janelle Registra. If I mispronounce the name, jump in. Jayla Jameson, Tierra Frazier. I guess you mix these ladies amongst the different relays to get your 4 and let them go, huh?
Hey, that's what we have to do. And they went. I mean, they had enthusiasm, desire, and hey, they didn't let 30,000 people scare them.
That is still a huge event, is it not?
Oh, it's a huge event. It's the biggest track meet other than the Olympic Games worldwide. There's no meet that has that kind of viewership. Now, this year wasn't quite the size of years past. You get up to 70,000 people. I mean, I think the COVID held back a little bit, but it was great to see, 35,000 people in there cheering on a group of youngsters.
So tell us about this particular group of sprinters. What makes them, like, individually great and as a group so good?
Well, we got one freshman that came to school early, Jayla Jameson from right here in Columbia, and she's been good for quite a while. She decided to come to school early and join us. So I was a freshman, and she's run 11:26 for 100 meters and 23 flat. When she was a ninth grader, she ran 23 seconds. She's been state champion in South Carolina for three years in a row. And then Tierra Frazier is the 6A state champion in the 100 and 200, and she comes from Rock Hill. So we got 2 freshmen that go along, and we feel they're really good short sprinters, and we think they'll make the World Junior team this year. And then we got Stephanie Davis, who's been here 6 years, and because of COVID. And she was on our national championship team 4 years ago that won the 4x4 indoors. And then we got a transfer that came in off the Porter from Oregon University, and Mackenzie Dunmore. And then we had a few other little sprinkles from down in Sumter. We bring in Angel Frank, and Angel she's just a sophomore that came in, was a state champion 2 years ago, and it's just like we're getting that new breed, the ones with that special it. So, hey, when you get one with the it, we can coach them.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. We're talking with Curtis Fry, track and field coach over at South Carolina. And how do you compare these sprinters to the ones you've had, some of the great ones you've had in the past, especially when you won that first national championship? I guess I'm trying to remember the exact year. I'm sure you remember. But this group compared to that group back then, you see similarities?
Right. Yes, I do. I actually the freshmen and the sophomores, they fit into that category. They're hitting times like the Barber twins and times like Demetri Washington at this age. Demetri Washington was a 52 6 girl out of high school. So these kids are 53 flat out of high school. So they're near those kind of times. But, the potential of that is one thing. Can they deliver on it like these ladies did to make Olympic teams? That's another thing.
2002 was that magical year, that national championship year. You won the outdoor national championship. You had, just to use a common phrase, you had some studs on that team, didn't you?
Oh, yeah. I mean, out of that group of young ladies, we kind of, LaChinda Demas, who was an Olympian and an American record holder in intermediate hurdles, her hurdles got broken by Sydney McLaughlin. Tiffany Ross Williams, who lives here in Columbia, who was 11-time All-American. Demetri Washington. It goes on. In that national championship, we scored 82 points, the highest ever point scored in an NCAA championship. Out of that group, we Aileen Bailey, a gold medalist from Olympic, from Jamaica. So it was quite a group. I can't say enough about them, but it took us some time to put that together. That was a freshman senior class, and it's kind of when I saw on the wall it said first to champion, and that was something that I had envisioned. Coach Holtz had it up there. And I was trying to rush my way to be first to champion. And,
you beat him to it. You beat him to it.
Yeah. And about 4 years later, Ray got his. And then we got Dawn has gotten hers. So Carolina, we think there can never be another first.
Yeah. No, actually, it'd be 8. Let's see. Ray's first was 2010. Yours was 2002. So you beat him by 8 years.
Oh, somebody had to plant a seed.
There you go.
Well,
I was going to say, excuse me, didn't your girls winning that national championship, the first for South Carolina in a team sport, if you don't count bowling from 1970 something, kind of inspire the entire athletic department to kind of raise their game throughout?
Well, you don't like to boast, but I do think there was a different feel because at that point, we actually have 9 Final Four trophies. So it was like we had gotten during that period from 02, from 97 to 02, we've been Final Four. At 3 times we've been second in the country. So it was. I got frustrated for a moment because I said this ain't gonna happen. Because we keep getting close and somebody beats us by 2. So it kind of got some things going. They got some things going in tennis and golf. Those guys start getting into the top 10. And so around here it started rolling. And then Ray got his new facility built and moved out of the Sarge. And the expectations rose. He went out to Omaha and started rolling.
Curtis Fry, head track and field coach at USC, joining us here tonight on Sports Talk. The SEC championships coming up next weekend. We'll get Coach's take on that in just a moment. Coach, you brought up an interesting point, I think, for recruiting regardless of what sport. You talked about the it factor. And when you're looking to bring a sprinter, a high jumper, a hurdler into your program, what is that it factor, and how do you mine that out of a player? And how good is track and field on a high school level here in our state? And can you rely solely on our state? You've talked about having to bring in players internationally, but how good is track and field in our state, and how do you find that it factor in your recruits?
Well, I tell you what, 26 years ago, South Carolina was delivering about 3 or 4 Division I athletes per year. Now, they're coming from all over the country getting kids out of the state of South Carolina. Unfortunately, I'd like to have the 3 or 4, but every school in the country is coming in. Florida gets the great ones, just like they do in football. Our state is 4 million people. and Georgia's got 11 million people. North Carolina is the 10th largest state in the country, and you got Broward and Dade County got more people than all those states together. So South Carolina, we got as good a talent as anybody. We just don't have the volume. The same happens in football and basketball. We get one or two of the very best in the country, and if we can keep them, we can keep that 2 every year. You have 4 of 6 on your team, and it don't take about 6 or 8 kids to get you into a top five at the NC. But unfortunately, you can't automatically guarantee you're going to get the in-state kid to stay. We've been fortunate over some time, but we have to branch out. There's 21 events in track, and you got to find some kids from all around. You got to get them out of Georgia because of big population. You got to get them out of Florida population, and you got to get a few out of North Carolina, and then go and get international kids because our sport is an international sport. The recognition that track brings is worldwide because this year the World Championships are going to be in Eugene, Oregon, but it brings every sport, all the nations of the world, Croatia. Everyone will see America, Africa, every nation in Africa. So it brings us, and it brings the word South Carolina, University of South Carolina. It tracks our schools, tracks 50 nations to all of our 75 majors. So we're a selling tool. We're the front door of the university. So we want to put out a good step.
What are you getting into next weekend at the SEC Outdoor Championships down at Oxford, Mississippi? And I think we all know how talented track and field is in the SEC, but give us an idea as to what next weekend is going to look like.
Well, SEC, you got to talk. Out of the top 10 teams in the country, 7 are going to come out of the SEC championship. So we can go there. We feel like we're going to be a top 15 team in the country, but if you're 15 in the country, but you can 10 in the if we're 10th in our conference meet out of the top 14, those are how our rankings go in. But rankings, you still got to let them shoot the gun. We plan on being in the top 8. But we just today my staff went down. We went line by line on 1, 2, 3 in the rankings, and we scored out. And hey, we're fighting ourselves to death. We were so happy this morning when we walked in and said we just dominated some people at the Penn Relays when we scored out the SEC, and the room got quiet.
Now, one person we've been talking about the sprinters, but you have in Rachel Glenn, one of the best in the country. She's great. Is she not? Is she borderline great? Is she going to be a national champion in the high jump and all that?
Well, the 2 champions, number 1 and 2, going to come out of the SEC. Texas A&M got a girl who jumped 6'5" this weekend. Last year, Rachel won the national at 6'4". Indoors, the girl from A&M beat Rachel, so they get to go head on. They get head to head, which is hey, I'm betting on my girl. She's won the last outdoors, so we got 3 weeks to prove that we improved from last year. Hey, we got the best miler in the country also, male.
And that is
Giannis Asaya. He's Moroccan. He's SEC champion indoors, and he broke a 30-year mile record for the SEC, and he's ready to go. We got a mile relay team that ran 3:04. We got 2 kids that run 20.5 in the 200. 1 freshman, the number 2 freshman in the country. We got a male hurdler, number 5 in the SEC. Female hurdler, she's number 9 in the country, and number 7 in the SEC. So we've got great kids, and they're excited. Yeah. Hey, I hope they're not listening where I'm putting the rankings out because they think they're all going to
Well, we hope the Sports Talk jinx doesn't come back to bite you down at Oxford. But you do have. I mean, I've been kind of following your team all through the indoor season and here in the spring, and I mean, you do have some impressive individuals. But it really caught my eye what your ladies did in winning those 3 different relays at the Penn relays, kind of knowing how big the Penn relays have been and still are. And I just thought it'd be great to have you on to brag about them just a little bit. And we wish you good luck down in Oxford. And who knows, you might be lifting up some more trophies here in the near future.
Hey, we think we got a shot at it. A big thing is, and without the fan support and without the donations, contributions for us to build the facilities, that we got a little bit behind in track facilities there over some years after the championship. But I can tell you, when you get fan support and donors, they start building facilities. So 5 years ago, we started getting a new outdoor track and an indoor 4 years ago. And you see the result in recruiting because of facilities. Our academics keep up with everybody in the country, but kids look at the glitter and gold. And I just like our fans out there to understand we appreciate. And Ray Tanner was willing to invest in helping us create those facilities. So now that Carolina is on equal footing, now we can attract some of the best kids from around the country.
Yeah. I covered, this was before you guys expanded everything, but I remember this might have been the last time you guys hosted the SEC championships. Can't remember the exact year, but I went out and covered that or watched it. It's amazing the athleticism that's just oozing all over the place when you have all those athletes coming in from around the SEC in one place to compete in a track and field championship.
It is. And I think fans if they could just get a chance to put their eyes on, they fall in love with the sport. But right now, we're going to Oxford, Mississippi, and we're going to try to get after some people.
Are you in line to host the SEC anytime in the near future?
Well, next year there's a bid going out, which went out last Friday. And Georgia is building a new track and building probably a football facility over their outdoor track, and it's their year to host. And they were asking for somebody to bid for it. I mentioned to Ray, and we've been in discussion on whether we want to get it next year or not.
Gotcha.
I think we're 1 year away from hosting the 2023 the cross country SEC championships, and I just don't know if we want to host. We want to host two championships in the same year. So those are kind of things. Hey, I'm ready and willing. Anytime we can put this kind of event on in Columbia, South Carolina, Curtis Fry is ready to muscle up and make it happen.
You got that right. Well, listen, you got another great group. Good luck at Oxford. We'll be paying attention and watching and talking about it. And then we'll get back with you when you head to the NCAA outdoors here in a few weeks.
I appreciate it, man. You guys go Gamecocks.
Thank you, Coach. Great
Thanks,
talking
Coach.
to you. All right, sir. Curtis Fry, thank you. Even though he's a native Tar Heel, he's all South Carolina. Almost 30 years over there with the Gamecocks.
East Carolina grad.
Yes, in the Hall of Fame over there at East Carolina. But a great guy. And his son, of course, played football at USC.
Did he say that Texas A&M has a young lady that can high jump 6 feet 5 inches? Can you imagine having a NBA point guard standing flat-footed and you jump over their head?
That's pretty impressive. But I tell you what,
really
she's not much better than who South Carolina has.
Right.
Rachel, I got to go back and find her name again now. Rachel, she has been one of the best in the SEC and best in the country throughout her career. Rachel Glenn, yeah. Mm-hmm. And she won the championship, what's called the championship section of the women's high jump in Philadelphia, and she jumped 6 feet and a half inch.
Wow.
I'm not real smooth when it comes to track and field terms, like describing the 1.84 meters or 6 feet and a half. Is that how you would word it? 6.5? No, 6 feet and a half. 6.5.
I'm not
6
sure
feet
Coach
and a half.
would, but yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit not real smooth with that. But you get my point that they're really, really good. All right, got to hit a break here on Sports Talk. We'll be back. Thanks to Curtis Fry for being with us. Back in a moment.
Hey Fireflies fans, the boys are back in town. Get ready for nonstop Fireflies baseball action this Tuesday through Sunday at Sager Park. Catch a Miller Lite $2 Tuesday, White Claw Wednesday, Budweiser Thursday, Freebie Friday, Saturday night postgame fireworks show, or a Sunday funday with postgame kids run the bases. There's something fun for everyone at the ballpark. Get your tickets now at firefliestickets.com. Columbia Fireflies baseball is fun for all.
Hi, this is Phil Kornblut of Sports Talk here with Major Billy Downer of the Department of Natural Resources. What words of wisdom do you have for those hitting the water this summer?
Phil, collisions can be prevented easily if every vessel operator fulfills three major responsibilities. One, practice good seamanship. It's the responsibility of every boat or PWC operator to take all necessary action to avoid a collision. Two, keep a proper lookout. Failing to keep a sharp lookout is the most common cause of boating collisions. And finally, maintain a safe speed. Remember, boat safe, boat smart.
The lady in black doesn't age. She just gets tougher. And NASCAR Throwback Weekend is when she likes to remind everyone just how they got here. Loud cars and louder colors, business up front and parties in the back. Over 70 years of history held together with one famous black stripe. Too tough to tame? I guess you'll have to find out. Darlington Throwback Weekend. May 6th through the 8th. Get your tickets at darlingtonraceway.com.
All right, thanks again to Curtis Fry. I thought he was fantastic.
He was.
Could have talked to him for another hour. I find track and field athletes to just, I mean, they are the ones who are the best at what they do. They are superior athletes. And, I mean, they are cut and chiseled, muscle, and just sleek. And the sprinters are incredible. I'm always amazed by speed. What makes you faster than me, or me faster than you, or Carl Lewis faster than everybody in the world at that time, or whoever you want to cite? You know, what allows you to put that foot down faster and pick up the other one faster and get it back down, you know?
Now, Usain Bolt and Carl Lewis would be an interesting discussion. I'm not sure it boils down to this simply, but Carl Lewis is faster than all three of us, Phil, because of genetics. Pretty simple.
Yeah.
He was just born a much better sprinter than we are.
Probably has a lot to do with it. You just got it, and then somebody develops you and gets it out of you, you know? But it is a beautiful sport to watch. I really enjoyed that one time when the SEC event was in Columbia and watching those, and it moves rapidly. A track and field event, there is something going on almost all the time, whether it's on the track or in the infield. You got to keep your eyes and head on a swivel to keep up with everything that's going on. Appreciate Coach joining us tonight. Enjoyed talking to him, and we'll stay on top of what they've got going on moving forward. So I'm seeing a lot of stories, Chris, about NIL stuff and people just wringing their hands of it left and right. A lot of articles being written, a lot of coaches or former coaches just talking about it. And, my thought is, if it's so bad as they think it is and think it's going to be, why didn't somebody along the way do something about it to prevent this from happening?
I want to play devil's advocate for just a moment, and I'll use someone from the NFL draft from over the weekend as to maybe some common sense legislation would certainly make name, image, and likeness a lot better. And I've always believed, even though I'm not real fond of how it's playing out right now, but that if you're going to pay the athletes, that's clearly the most fair way to do it, because everybody can profit off their own ability and marketing ability and like. But if you look at somebody like, say, Justin Ross, here's a guy who clearly was going to be a top 10 signee, NFL draft choice before he got injured. Do you look at him and say, you know what, NIL might have been able to help him? He could have capitalized on his athleticism and athletic ability before he got hurt, and he's not getting that opportunity now by a very hard time for him to make an NFL roster now.
Well, that's an excellent point, and I've seen people use that as an example of why NIL is good and should be part of the landscape. We'll talk about that coming up shortly. Be right back.
Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union. on 107 The Point.
And here's tonight's forecast. A very warm week, not just during the days, but not cooling down much at night either. Tonight, it's a low of 66. Tomorrow, more clouds than sunshine and a high of 89. Look for a 40% chance of some storms along the way. By Wednesday, we're up to 90 as a high with more sunshine coming. I'm Brian Leonard with your On Point local weather. When you're a military veteran with over 40,000 organizations trying to help you, it can be hard to find the right information. That's why AARP brings together valuable resources to help you navigate your options. AARP.org/veterans. With the free veteran employment and fraud prevention resources, caregiving tools, and access to discounts, AARP, on a mission to support veterans. Visit AARP.org/veterans today.
You aren't eating the healthy food you want to eat. Between work, family life, and the general day-to-day events, there just isn't time to do more than hit the drive-thru on your way home. And fast food always seems to leave you feeling lethargic and just missing out on the vital nutrition you get from fresh fruits and vegetables. That's why Balance of Nature exists. Balance of Nature was developed to help combat the unhealthy lifestyle that seems to permeate throughout America. Balance of Nature takes a nutritious blend of 31 different fruits and vegetables, puts them through an advanced cold vacuum process, grinds them up, and delivers them right to your door. You can get all the recommended servings of fruits and vegetables into your diet in just a few seconds without worrying about buying, storing, and preparing them. Eat better and feel better by going to balanceofnature.com and be sure to get 35% off your first preferred order by using discount code BALANCE.
When it comes to firearms, ammunition, and accessories, some things are changing. Well, fortunately, some things haven't changed a bit. I'm talking all about Shooter's Choice in West Columbia. What has never and will never change is the customer service. Top notch with the staff that has decades of experience in the firearms industry. This staff actually hunts and shoots regularly. For over 30 years, Shooter's Choice has never lost that hometown feel and never felt like shopping at some big box store. What has changed? Well, technology. If you'd rather spend your money on firearms than gas, go online to shooterschoicesc.com and check out a great website that's easy to navigate 24/7. Be the first to get items as they are received at the store. Be the first to get that newest production model ordered before it even enters the retail store. Come pick it up at your convenience. Sign up for notifications of new products and special inventory. It's all at shooterschoicesc.com. So come on in and see the team at Shooter's Choice, 944 Sunset Boulevard, or visit online. Either way, you'll see what I'm talking about. Make your first choice, your best choice. Make it Shooter's Choice.
You've seen the news. You've talked to your friends. You may have even looked around yourself. Home prices are nuts. Seems like no one is offering any kind of discount except Lexington Discount Homes. Discount is their middle name. Quality homes that fit your budget with the size, model, and floor plan that your family needs. You can still afford your dream home at Lexington Discount Homes. Augusta Highway near Ballpark Road, 803-951-1900 or LexingtonDiscountHomes.com.
Honey, did you see the gas prices as you drove home from work today?
I did. They are getting ridiculous.
Good thing for us, we don't have to go anywhere to get our medicine.
That's right. Ever since we switched to True Pharmacy, they have delivered all of our medicine for free.
Not only that, every time we buy anything at True Pharmacy, including our prescriptions, we get loyalty points.
Aren't those great? We get to use our loyalty points to buy other over-the-counter items.
Yes, this month I used them for our multivitamins.
I sure am glad we switched to True Pharmacy. True Pharmacy, 2 locations to serve you, West Columbia and Columbia on Divine.
Have you fallen behind on your taxes and might be facing IRS penalties? Have wage garnishments, levies, or liens? Have unfiled tax returns? You want someone local and qualified. Don't fall for those national spots. Meet with me, Teresa, at Capital City Professional Services, and let me help you through your tax maze. I can help with all your tax resolution issues. There are options to get you back on track. Call Capital City Professional Services, 400-8683. That's 400-8683.
Hi, I'm Kimberly Aiken-Cochran. As Miss America, I know that taking care of yourself is important. Part of taking care of your health is knowing if you're at risk of type 2 diabetes. Prediabetes is serious and puts you at risk for developing type 2 diabetes. 90% of South Carolinians who have it don't know they have it. Visit inittogethersc.org. Take an online test to find out your risk and join a diabetes prevention program. Brought to you by the Diabetes Action Council of South Carolina.
Hey, Major League Baseball got a couple of finals in. White Sox beat the Angels 3-0. Cardinals shut out the Royals 1-0. Top of the fourth, D-backs over the Marlins 2-0. Twins and Orioles scoreless. Top of the third, Yankees and Blue Jays scoreless after 2. Braves and Mets scoreless after 2. Heard a great piece of trivia today, Chris, in baseball.
Okay.
This is the first time in history, as of today, prior to today's games, in Major League Baseball, first time in history since they went to the division format in Major League Baseball, that at the same time you have the Yankees, Mets, Dodgers, and Angels all leading their respective divisions.
Wow.
How
I'm
good is
assuming
that?
those are the four highest payrolls in baseball. Is that why they brought that up?
And, kind of coming off like the work stoppage, the brief work stoppage that they had, the strike, whatever. They had the steroids that got everybody back and the home run ball that got everybody back interested in baseball. And now what better way to get everybody back interested in baseball than having the Yankees, Mets, Dodgers, and Angels really good and leading their – I'm happy. Hey, listen, I'm happy with it. Fine with me, being a Yankee fan. It's all good. And
what was the reason they brought that up? Was it just because they're the two teams in New York and the two teams in L.A.?
Yes.
Or those are four highest payrolls in all of Major League Baseball?
No, two big markets, New York and L.A., both having the first place team. It's rare. It's rare the Yankees and Mets have been in first in their divisions at the same time. It's even rarer for the Dodgers and the Angels. So,
yeah.
And that leads us around the horn of the Carolina League and the Columbia Fireflies. We welcome in the voice of the Fireflies with us here on Sports Talk, John Kosis. I know you had a good time in Myrtle Beach. Even a bunch of losses can't take away from a good time in Myrtle Beach.
Oh, you know how it is. Some sunshine and the beach. It doesn't get much better than that.
Well, maybe the guy spent too much time on the beach.
Maybe that was the case because the bats weren't going this last weekend. I think I told a couple of season ticket holders that were talking to me. I said, oh, no, they just love saving the hits for you guys at Segra Park. So hopefully that's the case against Delmarva this week.
Yeah, well, you got a full week of games coming up against Delmarva, but give us the overview of the team's performance from where you sat watching them against the Pelicans.
Yeah, the biggest problem I saw, because let's not beat around the bush. They lost 5 of 6. It was a tough week. The biggest problem I saw was being sloppy in the field. There were a lot of those games, particularly early in the week. The weekend, I think some momentum had gotten away from them. But, they had 8 errors that one game. They had at least 4 errors in 3 games. And when you give teams free outs, you're going to lose a lot of baseball games. And I know we talked about it last week, and we said that this is a team that's extremely young and extremely raw. But that's one thing they're going to have to work on. You can't get yourself out of baseball games by booting the ball around.
Well, this is true. We saw Clemson yesterday give up 9 unearned runs, so it doesn't help you when you're trying to beat teams. And Myrtle Beach is a pretty doggone good team. They're 15-6. So you were playing the best in your division right now, and they proved it with the way they played in the series.
Yeah, that we saw Charleston play against Fredericksburg this last week. It's looking like Myrtle Beach and Fredericksburg are the two teams to beat. This gave the Fireflies a little wake-up call, but it's not going to get much more difficult. And luckily, Delmarva also in the same area as the Columbia Fireflies. So a good opportunity to maybe beat up on a poor team at home, get some momentum back because, the baseball gods did not bless the Fireflies with an easy first couple of weeks in the schedule. Charleston with the Tampa Bay Rays, Myrtle games against Augusta kind of spread within. That's not an easy start to the season. So hopefully we can see the Fireflies come out there, win a series against Delmarva, right the ship, and then head back on the road and do some good things in Augusta.
Yeah, 3 of the teams in your division are above 500, and then Kannapolis is just 1 game under. It's a tough division, but the beautiful thing is, you split the season, you'll be able to wipe the slate clean and start over again later on in the summer. But you want to win as many games as possible. But developing the players, and you had some roster moves. Are you expecting more roster moves this week?
If I'm being honest, there's definitely a chance. Northwest Arkansas in AA is playing with a 7-man bullpen right now, and I just don't think that's sustainable. And you know how the domino effect rolls. Something happens in Northwest Arkansas, then it happens in Quad City, and then it follows up to Columbia. So as of right now, I'm not aware of any moves, but those things can change rather rapidly. You know, all it takes is for Salvador Perez in Kansas City to bruise his thumb or something, or maybe Whit Merrifield pulls a hammy, and all of a sudden the Fireflies are seeing some roster moves. So it's really depends on what happens within the farm.
Visiting with John Kostis of the Columbia Fireflies around the horn here on Sports Talk on Monday nights as we talk about the Fireflies and the Carolina League. What or who, as you recall, on the Myrtle Beach team, on that squad, really jumped out and impressed you from your exposure to them this past week?
Pete Crow Armstrong, and I'm going to tell you a little story. The Columbia Fireflies were affiliated with the Mets in 2020. I remember watching the draft in July and saying, my favorite outfielder from this draft is a kid named Pete Crow Armstrong. I want the Mets to draft him. He's exciting. They drafted him in the first round. And I was so excited because the odds were that he was going to come and be a Columbia Firefly that season. Well, we didn't play baseball in 2020. Pete Crow Armstrong got traded to the Cubbies in 2021. And boy, oh boy, did he put a performance against the Columbia Fireflies. He has now been on base in each of his first 15 games. The kid is stellar in center field. I think he's got a really bright future.
Well, he's only hitting 382. He's got 4 doubles.
Yeah, only 382.
Yeah, 3 homers.
Right.
He's got 14 RBIs. He's walked 10 times. So he's doing pretty much everything. He's stolen 7 bases. He's pretty talented. You've got Rivertown for you guys swinging a pretty good bat, 304 batting average, 3 home runs. How did he look at the series last week?
You know, I think he looked really good. And a little hidden stat for you. In 7 of his last 8 games played, Rivertown has scored a run. So it's not necessarily just getting on base via the hit. He doesn't have the hitting streak right now. I think he's got a 2-game hitting streak. He's coming off of a 4-game hitting streak. But if he doesn't get a hit, he's walking. He's reaching on air. He's making those effort plays. And he came into camp as the 4th outfielder for this team. And if you look down at the stat sheet, all of a sudden, he's started 7 games in a row. And that's the type of play I love watching at this level. When you see a kid who just does everything right and earns his way into camp.
John Kostis is with us tonight, going around the horn, chatting about the Columbia Fireflies, getting ready for a big homestand all week long. And, John, from a promotional standpoint, I love this about minor league baseball. There's so many cool things you guys are able to do. None cooler, in my opinion, than celebrating Star Wars Day on May the 5th, maybe one day later, but still nonetheless, Star Wars Day. And the ticket package, you've got to walk me through this, actually includes Jedi training. How is that going to work, along with the cool Fireflies lightsaber?
Absolutely. I love this. We did this in a very small way last year, and we're expanding upon it. So the Crescent Patio over in right field, for your kids, there's a martial arts school that we're partnering with. And that martial arts school, if you spend $20 on top of your ticket price, is going to give you a Fireflies theme lightsaber. And then they're going to walk you through some martial arts that the Jedi use in Star Wars. So you'll learn how to swing the lightsaber and do the kick moves and stuff like that, just like Obi-Wan Kenobi or just like Luke Skywalker or, you know, Rey, any of the big Star Wars players. And what's really cool about it, and this one is a little secret that I'm going to let you in on, that training is before the game. During the game, we're going to have a Star Wars lightsaber skill contest camera. So what you learn before the game could get you on the video board during the game.
Phil, I may not show up for the Xfinity race on Saturday at Darlington. I'm going to go get in on Star Wars night on May the 7th with the Fireflies.
That sounds right up your alley. That sounds right up your alley.
That sounds terrific. It does.
Hey, before we let you go, John, great stuff as always. You know, the thing about minor league baseball, it's not just the players who are trying to impress and move up. So are you guys behind the microphones. I mean, you don't see yourself as a lifer in Columbia, obviously. You want to move up the ranks in baseball. I know I had the great pleasure back in the 80s of working with a guy by the name of Gary Cohen. You may have heard of him. He's now, of course, he's now one of the great announcers in all of Major League Baseball. My point is, I read a story about Joe Davis, who's taking over as the play-by-play voice for Fox, Major League Baseball, and the World Series. And here's a guy, much like yourself, who started out very low level of minor league baseball worked his way up and is now considered one of the great announcers in professional baseball.
Yeah, and what's really cool about Joe is he kind of trailblazed a little bit. There was a period of time in the 90s where guys were kind of picking off athletes and they were picking off of network people from ESPN, where they go from hosting behind a desk to moving on to like Major League play-by-play or, Baseball Tonight. And Joe Davis was the start, along with Matt Biscurgeon, of getting back to people who did a year or two in minor league baseball, or 5 or 6, or for Joe Davis, I think it was 7 or 8 years in minor league baseball, followed by a promotion to the Dodgers, right? He replaced Vin Scully, and that's no easy task, right? Maybe the most revered name in the last 60 years in baseball, Vin Scully, he replaces him, and people liked him, which is incredible to see, and now he's earned himself a national spotlight.
Yeah, it's fantastic. One last thing, I just looked at this, just ran across this, and you'll probably you have faced the Green Jackets already. J.J. Niekro is a pitcher for the Augusta Green Jackets. He is the son of Joe Niekro, the nephew of Phil Niekro. Did you get a chance to see him throw?
We did. He threw 3 perfect innings against us on Saturday of opening weekend. So it wasn't opening night. It was the second game we played. And his uncle must have taught him the breaking ball because it was working in a good way.
Mm-hmm.
And he throws low to mid 90s. He's a really talented kid. I don't know that he's going to stay in Augusta very long because the Braves really like promoting guys quickly, especially pitchers with some talent like that. And the name that comes off the top of my head is last year they had a young guy who graduated from Clemson who had an injury, so he got drafted a little bit later. He went from Augusta all the way to the Mississippi Braves last year, and then he ended up pitching for the Atlanta Braves this year. And I don't know why I'm blanking on his name right now.
Spencer Strider.
Yes, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Spencer Strider, yeah. And what Spencer Strider did for me that was amazing was low 90s fastball, so it wasn't like he was overpowering you, but the control was there. He threw 3 pitches, all with that control. And if you can hit the strike zone with 3 pitches, you're going to be successful.
Well, J.J. Niekro this year is 2-0 with a 1.47. So he has struck out 20 and 18 and a third. So he's doing great. You, sir, are doing great. Thank you for being with us. We will talk to you again. Have a great week at home. Again, real quick, tell everybody about what's coming up with your homestand this week.
Yeah, we chatted a little bit about Star Wars Night. That's on Saturday. Another really fun event. On Friday, we're going to have Fireflies games. If you like the show Squid Games, think of that at the ballpark. We're giving away free Fireflies games T-shirts for the first 1,000 through the gates, which open at 6 p.m. on Friday. And then we're going to have a lot of games that are like Squid Games, but a little bit less serious in terms of the stakes. We're not going to be playing with lives here. We're going to be playing with fun and baseball. So it's going to be a really fun time Friday and Saturday night at the ballpark. And then, of course, I have to plug Budweiser Thirsty Thursday. I feel like I do it every homestand, but I remember I used to live by Thirsty Thursday my later years in college with the local minor league team by Ohio University. But $2 Bud Lights at the Bowtie Bar, half-priced both craft and domestic drafts, and then half-price fountain sodas if you're not an alcohol drinker. So tons of great deals Thursday through Saturday night at Segra Park.
Well, are you ready for the good old South Carolina heat and humidity to start rolling in?
This is the start of year 3 in South Carolina for me, and each year it's gotten a little bit easier for this Cleveland kid who used to shovel his driveway in shorts to kind of fathom the heat.
Oh, you're ready. If you're shoveling snow in shorts, you can handle it. Hey, thank you. Have a great week. We'll talk to you next week.
Absolutely. Can't wait for it. Thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks,
all right. Thank you, John Kosas, voice of the Columbia Fireflies. And we thank him for being with us tonight. I love this segment. I love talking this baseball. I love talking Carolina League baseball, looking up some of the names of these guys like J.J. Niekro. I didn't know anything about that. I just just checking the pitching stats in the league, and there's J.J. Niekro. I said, well, he's got to be related to to Nuxie and his brother. And sure enough, he's Nuxie's nephew and son of Joe. So that's fantastic. And you might see him. Wouldn't that be awesome to see him in a Braves uniform one day? A Niekro toeing the rubber again in a Braves uniform?
But he talked about the breaking ball. His uncle taught him the breaking ball. I was curious if he meant the knuckleball or just a typical curveball.
I think that's kind of what he was hinting at,
Yeah.
something with a lot of movement. Okay, we'll hit a break here on Sports Talk. We got a few more minutes if you want to join us. 888-898-2525, the number. Back in a moment.
Parents ask, what's the best way to save for college? I'm State Treasurer Curtis Loftus, and my answer is always open a Future Scholar 529 college savings account. It's easy. You can get started online with any amount. It's flexible to adapt to your child's college dreams. And you can deduct 100% of your contributions from the South Carolina state tax return. So what are you waiting for? Go to futurescholar.com and see why it's the smart, easy way to save for college. futurescholar.com.
The lady in black doesn't age. She just gets tougher. And NASCAR Throwback Weekend is when she likes to remind everyone just how they got here. Loud cars and louder colors, business up front and parties in the back. Over 70 years of history held together with one famous black stripe. Too tough to tame? I guess you'll have to find out. Darlington Throwback Weekend, May 6th through the 8th. Get your tickets at darlingtonraceway.com.
Life. It has its ups and downs. Sometimes it's little things like hitting every red light or dropping your cell phone. Maybe it's the bills, rent, or pressure at work. But when it comes to the South Carolina Education Lottery, you should never feel like playing will solve everything. The lottery is a game. It's played for fun. So set a dollar amount. Expect not to win and make sure responsibilities, family, friends, and work come first. Visit playresponsiblysc.com.
Seeing some pictures on his Twitter from Desmond Umi Ozulu on his visit to South Carolina today. So he was definitely in, and he'll be heading over to Clemson tomorrow as he makes a few more visits to check some things out. June's going to be a very busy month. Later this month will be a very busy month as guys are now using May and June to make their decisions and get it done before they get into their own seasons, which, I don't really have a problem with that as somebody who covers recruiting. I mean, it used to be based in December, January, February. That was the bulk of it. Really December and January, and you signed in early February. Now it's March, April, May, June with a week in July. So you get it done, you kind of put it to bed for the season. That's kind of where we're headed with the way the calendar in recruiting is adjusting here on the fly. I wanted to hit
Will
this.
ever get to a point, Phil, where as soon as someone commits, if it is a committable offer, and I'm not talking about a ninth grader who's gotten an offer, I'm a committable offer. You think we'll ever get to a point that they could just sign then? Do we have to have a magical signing day in February and another magical one in December?
I mean, they used to do it that way in the
I don't see a problem
50s, 60s. Back then, there was no defined signing date that I recall. I mean, a guy made a decision, you had the papers, you signed.
Yeah.
But that I guess it can create some problems, both ways. Say you sign a guy, you sign him. See, now it's just verbal commitments, but now you sign him in June, July, he goes and blows out his knee this coming season. And now, but you've signed, he's yours.
Yeah.
And you're married to one another, so you've got to bring in a guy who can't play the next season because of an injury. See what I'm saying?
No,
So
I see your point.
There's some locked-in issues there
too. I get that.
Yeah. I wanted to mention this story that's been staring at me here. Well, first of all, TigerNet. Well, they're reporting what the Pro Football Network's Aaron Wilson reported. Punter Will Spires invited to the Packers rookie minicamp, and long snapper Jack Maddox headed to the Giants rookie minicamp. So they're going to get a chance to perform. But this story, big money donors have stepped out of the shadows to create chaotic NIL market. Less than a year into the NIL era, officials say the college sports landscape is dramatically shifting back into the booster-driven world that plagued it decades ago. And they quote Tommy Bowden. He remembers that he said what Tommy Bowden remembers most are the alligator skin boots and the shiny new cars, the pricey Rolexes and diamond-studded chains. One by one, SMU players funneled into the room for individual interviews with dozens of college coaches from across the country, all of them descending upon Dallas to survey the best stock of players money could buy. It was like a meat market, says Bowden, then an assistant coach at Alabama. What was actually unfolding before his eyes back in 1987 was the result of a lengthy investigation that led the NCAA to hand down the infamous death penalty. Ghastly recruiting violations were committed under Ron Meyer, and it shuttered the program for 2 years. 35 years later, many of the NCAA described, quote, improper benefits, end quote, given to SMU athletes are now being distributed to players and promised to prospects in exchange for appearances, a few tweets, and some commercials. Bowden said, quote, I bet Ron Meyer is rolling in his grave. I can hear him now. I told them they'd legislate this thing. We were doing it the right way, end quote. This continues across the U.S. college sports landscape, from the heartland of Texas to the shores of Florida and the hills of Tennessee. High-level boosters are privately or publicly using name, image, likeness to bankroll their teams, attempting to outbid one another for talent and creating a new arms race in college sports. Football's biggest donors have orchestrated business ventures that are distributing 5, 6, and 7-figure payments to athletes under the guise of endorsement opportunities and appearance fees. Go back and listen to that sentence or part of it. Under the guise of endorsement opportunities and appearance fees. They're also pooling millions of their dollars in creating exclusive high-priced clubs, quote, collectives, end quote, to retain current players, entice high school prospects, or poach athletes from other programs. These savvy and wealthy business people are skirting vague NCAA guidelines that govern athlete compensation, many protected by their own state laws, with legislation in some areas being rewritten to further empower such behavior. And in this new era of emerging athletes' rights under a toothless NCAA, they don't fear repercussions and flaunt their coup. They are seen by many as saviors of their programs. And on it goes. This is a Sports Illustrated story. So I find all that very interesting. You know, Chris, not all laws, not all decisions made by legislators, and not all laws passed down from courts are good laws. I mean, they're laws because somebody believes and enough people believe in a position of power that we have to have them. Doesn't mean they're good laws. And so I bring this up by saying, yeah, the Supreme Court and I guess other courts have ruled some things, put all this in process that's impacted college athletics. Doesn't mean they were good laws or good decisions made by those courts, depending on which side of the fence you want to stand on. Now, we have to live by them. And of course, because of the fear of competition, state legislators jumped in as quickly as possible to put their states in the game, so to speak. They did not want, like in our state, South Carolina and Clemson, to get outbid. Same thing in Alabama, same thing in Florida. Doesn't mean the laws are good laws. And I would say so far, what the action taken by the courts has been bad.
But
the
see,
way
here's
this thing's being played out.
You bring up laws that we live in modern day society, that some of them get challenged in courts and get overturned because they are, as you pointed out, not good laws. Who in their right mind is going to challenge the NIL right now? You're definitely not going to do it if you're a college coach, because that's career suicide. You're certainly not going to do it as an athlete. So if you believe it's a bad law, who's going to step in to challenge it and change it?
But think of this, and we'll pick this up tomorrow. The NIL is only really going to provide for the few. Think of all the thousands of college athletes who aren't going to make $500 off of any NIL, but you're going to have the few, either through their own media, social media following, or collectives, or dealing with these business people who are going to cash in. Do the athletes think that's fair? Do they think that's a fair way to handle things? We'll pick it up tomorrow. Thanks for being with us. See you tomorrow.
Someone will be right with you.
The Point.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, and fireplaces. Spring Sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.